What we do here is go back.
Good evening, fellow Patriots. My name is Dick Aiken, and tonight we look at our fellow neighbors. We begin to poke past the curtain to learn what the man doesn't want you to know. With drone strikes on our own at Bspn, we must ask who is behind this. The answer might be a lot closer to home than you. I'm sorry, that's my other show. I got you here. Fantasy football playoffs are on the horizon. What a season we've had up until this point. A shocking front runner for the championship in Grim Reaper. Can he maintain his spot like this at the top? As we all learned in college, for every top, there's a bottom. Tonight, my colleagues at Bspn will join me for my favorite game show, Ache In or Ache Out. And tonight, we will meet with Mike Oxlong over in Canton to see who our front runners are for our BBMVPS awards this season. We'll see you after these brief messages from our sponsors.
The only thing more important than good company is good food. That's why, at Sam's Clams you can always rest assured that you're eating the freshest seafood from the freshest water. Sam's Clams. The best meal you'll ever have in your life.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Halfway there, living on a prayer, just like some of the managers in our league right now. Who do you think's going to win the championship? Who's going to make it to the playoffs? Who's going to be last place this year? I have some of my esteemed colleagues here to break this all down with me. Right now, we're going to get into it. And first, I have Barry McCockiner sitting with a 21-40 record on the pick'ems. Barry, how you? Barry, all right, I'm going to move on now. We're going to Philatio. Phil has a 25-40 record on the pick'ems this year. Phil, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I just want to clarify that's 25 out of 40. I didn't lose 40 times. Also, I'm surprised they let me back on your show after I spray painted all those dicks on your dressing room trailer. But other than that, I'm happy to be here.
They told me they were still investigating that. It's nice to have you back tonight, Phil, I guess. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Hey there, it's a pleasure to be on the show. I'm so happy to be here with my esteemed colleagues. Unfortunately, I don't get to be in the same studio space as y'all, but it's great to see a face. I haven't seen a face in months. In months.
It's because you smell like shit, Mike, but you are number one in our pick'ems right now with your 27-4 out of 40 record. Go ahead and get started here, ladies and gentlemen. We're halfway through the season. Some teams have really separated themselves from the pack in a bad way and some in a good way. We have our trade deadline 1 week away. You guys think we'll see a massive trade? Barry, what do you think?
Well, I'm sure that a big trade is bound to happen. We've seen a couple of smaller ones with Dobbins and Judy being traded for DK Metcalf. There's also been the whatever the other trade was that happened right before that one with the California Bears. Where he got Jeff Wilson. Excuse me, Dick, but it's been a long day.
You really got your finger to the pulse of the league right there, Barry. I appreciate you. Mike, do you have anything else to add?
Yes, Dick. I do think that we will see a major trade before the deadline. You look at a lot of teams that are just kind of in that fork in the road territory. Are we going to make the playoffs this season, or are we going to miss this season? And for some, that make or break factor is going to be a trade. So there's been rampant negotiations throughout the season, and I think shortly we will see some come to fruition.
I 100% agree. There are a lot of teams with great ability to make moves in this league right now. Let's take a look at some of these teams, see where they're at right now. And let's go ahead and predict if they're making the playoffs right now. We're going to play a little game I like to call Ache In or Ache Out. You guys are my contestants. You're on my game show this week. So you better be here. You better have fun. We're looking at no Chubb right now. And honestly, right now, boys and girls, he's had 0 Chubb and 0 offense still. He's put up no points. He's projected to finish 11th in the league after starting his season number 1 in projections. What you got for me, Barry?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, weren't they shopping around their best player a few weeks ago? Like, what is that going to do for a team that's really struggling right now? You got to hold on to Jonathan Taylor and just ride that train out. I cannot believe some of the mistakes that have been happening from this team. I'm ache out.
Ache out. How you feeling on him, Phil?
Yeah, I agree with Barry on this one for the one time in maybe history. You're shopping your best player all year. You didn't quite get what you wanted, so I'm proud that you did hang on. It seems like he's finally starting to turn up the pace. Unfortunately, your season has just not started out, with a good foundation. It's leaving you looking a bit shaky here going into week 8. It's going to be really tough to come back at this point, and I just don't see it happening, Dick. I'm going to be Dick out.
You got anything else to add there, Mike?
Yeah, no, Chubb's going to be a real easy ache out for me. To put it quite simply, look at the past 4 games of this team. The past 4 games, this team, no Chubb, has not eclipsed 100 points. They're currently projected to finish 11th in the league. I'll be honest with you, gentlemen, this team's going to finish last. This team is going to finish last. They are the second lowest in scoring by only 13 points. And if they continue this pattern of not being able to break 100 points, they're going to be sitting dead last at the end of the season.
I 100% agree. I am ache out on this team. Honestly, I think 11th is a really nice projection for them. The league's doing them a little favor. They're most likely going to finish last. They might finish 13th somehow. They are really bad. All right. Let's move on to a lot better of a team. They started the season at projected number 2 in the league. We're looking at Grim Reaper. He has a tough schedule remaining. He's had a great first half. Has kind of a hot and cold roster on the scoring, but he's gotten some luck to roll his way and only has 1 loss right now. How are you guys feeling on him? I'm going to start with you, Mike.
Yeah, look, starting out the season 6-0, now 6-1. It's going to be a very easy ache in for me. It's going to take a lot of teams, a lot of hard work just to catch up. I do not think that this team is going to hold on to their bye week, unfortunately. Look at some of the matchups they have coming up. They have a tough matchup with one of the leading scoring teams in the league, 1-2. They also have the former champion, Judge Judy. They also have the Tallahassee Tank Touchers and your Wizard Spina. And so I think we're going to see them accumulate a couple more losses. And unless they can really crank things up and start stacking up those points, I think they're going to be disappointed at the end of the season where they end up.
Right now, they're ache in. They're looking good. I agree that they're ache in. They are bottom half of the league in scoring right now. They're having a tough time putting together some consistency. Honestly, how you feeling, Phil?
Yeah, I feel good about the team. Anytime you start 6-0, you have a good send-off for the year. I think this team's going to make it to the playoff. I do think they've, however, been helped and assisted by the matchups that they've had so far. As you mentioned, they as far as scoring goes, they are in the bottom half of the league. So, of course, anytime you look at that, you start to wonder, what if they had a different schedule, this and that. For the most part, I think they will have trouble with Euro Wizard Spina coming up. Mentioned they play Tallahassee Tank Touchers as well. I was not aware of that, but that's going to be a challenge as well. But for me, I'm going Aiken on this team, and with a nice 2-game lead, they could hold on to that bye week. I'm not totally giving that up.
I 100% agree that bye week it's all you want. It's really what you're pushing for when you're trying to get into the playoffs. When you're at 6-1. You're not thinking about making just the playoffs now. You want bye weeks. Barry, where are we looking at right now?
Well, of course I'm going to agree because of the hot start that they're going to be ache in. I would like to let you guys know something, though. They have had the second lowest points scored against them in the league. And honestly, the only person who has less points is Jeffrey Dahmer, which has had an anomaly of a season, so you can kind of just throw that out as an outlier anyways. Tyler Hammond, the rookie manager, is what it seems like sometimes because he still kind of can't figure it out with his flex position in the league. So I don't see him going far in the playoffs, but because they started so hot, he's going to get in.
He's definitely a good manager. He's definitely making the playoffs. Let's move on to a team that's also had a pretty good start. They've had a little struggle of late. They lost 2 of their last 3. They dropped to 5th in scoring in the league. They've certainly hoarded themselves out on the market lately, but they're still projected to finish 3rd. We're looking at 1-2 and manager Noah Bennett. How do you feel about him, Phil?
Well, as you mentioned, he's had some struggles recently, losing 2 of his last 3. But I'm looking at this team to keep fighting. Let's see what they have on the schedule. We have hard as fuck. That's what it says on my paper, quite literally. They play pretty much every other team that I have ached in. And it's going to be a tough schedule. I'm looking for the team to get there. And it's another thing, like our past with Grim Reaper, he was a good start. So it's kind of hard to, knock yourself out of that position. I have this team going Aiken despite the hard schedule. They're not getting a bye week. Definitely not.
All right. That's definitely a good opinion. I want to hear how you feel on this one, Barry.
Yeah, and the big thing about this with Patterson going down, there's a big scramble here for depth. The roster is decent. It has some heavy hitters. You like to see Ezekiel Elliott coming back into form, scoring some tutties. But ultimately, this is still a flexless team halfway through the year. And, how good is the Bucs offense really? So that kicker option it's got to go too. You feel me?
Barry, you mentioned depth. I have 2 pieces on this team right here. First of all, they're the only team in the league rostering 3 defensive players. It's kind of a weird position for me. Second of all, they have a lot of bye weeks this week. They didn't really spread their bye weeks out. How do you guys feel on that? Taking it all at once and really taking it up the ass one week? Or spreading out those bye weeks and trying to, maybe score a little bit less, but maybe catch some wins still? Let me hear you again, Barry.
Yeah, I think the best move is to always spread your bye weeks out. You can manage a win minus 1 player down any given week because any given week, a player can throw up a duck. But when you stack your bye weeks, that's a recipe for disaster.
That's a good point. Mike, I want to hear your opinion. I hear you have an inside source with this team.
I do. And yes, the rumors are true that this team has been looking to make a trade for quite some time. They are a leading nominee for worst negotiators. So clearly they're going to have to ante up if they want to get some strength, bolster their roster. I look at their schedule ahead and I see a very easy path for this team to go 500 in the next 6 weeks and maintain their playoff spot. So they're going to be aching for me. I do think they have a challenge ahead. They did drop a game last week. Last week was kind of their bye-pocalypse. They only have 1 player on bye this week. And fortunately, the manager of the opposing team didn't quite structure their bye weeks very well. And they are out Patrick Mahomes, Keenan Allen, and a kicker. So this might be a get-right game for this manager. But yes, a lot of injured players, a lot of holding defenses. It makes you question this manager's depth making decisions. But I would look for this team to make some noise in the playoffs when they start getting some players healthy again.
Now, I took in your opinion here tonight, boys. I was uncertain on this team. I didn't know what direction to take this in. That's why we have these conversations. That's why I bring on my colleagues to my show, Phil. It's why I have you on this. And honestly, I'm going to ache out. I don't see this manager making the playoffs. He's going to have a hard time in his coming up games, and he's going to miss it this year. Now let's move on to a manager that I think could have a good season. We're looking at Eric Kilpatrick. How do you feel about him, Barry?
Well, so Eric Kilpatrick is an interesting story here because if you look at their stats, they're putting up points with the best of them. They're 3 games back, though, Dick, so it's hard to say. I I would like to point out that the rest of their schedule doesn't seem so hard, but I'm going to have to go with Ake out.
That's definitely a strong opinion. He does have a simple schedule coming up. I like that. The bye week planning definitely doesn't look like it's going to be in his favor. But like you said, top 4 in scoring. Eric Kilpatrick definitely knows how to finish here. Let's hear it from now. Philatio, how you doing? What you got for me?
I'm glad you asked. Speaking of schedule coming up the rest of the year, I really don't think it's the easiest. He still plays Tallahassee Taint Touchers, still plays Euro Wizard Spina. Those are some tough games and other teams that I see, going far in the year. However, I do see this manager sneaking into the playoffs, so I'm going to go Ake in. And the reason why is Sheffrey right now has a better record, and I respect Sheffrey. He's a good manager, not in this league, but I'm sure he has some that he is good in. And he's just not scoring points right now. So if you're lacking points, you're not going to make it too far. And there's several managers who are hundreds of points ahead of him. So I have Eric Kilpatrick sneaking in. He's not going to get a bye week or anything, but he's going to hang around. He's going to be there in the postseason.
He's definitely going to make some noise. What you got for me, Mike?
Quite simply, no noise from this team. This team's going to be Ake out for me. A slight correction to your statistic. They are actually 5th in scoring. Spina, your manager Spina with your Wizard Spina, has 863.88 points on the season. Eric Kilpatrick has 863.54 points on the season. So they're actually 5th in scoring. A big question mark for me with this team is the running back depth. James Conner just simply isn't going to do it. They do have some big playmakers that can win them the week on any given week in Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce. But it's all going to be a matter of how this schedule plays out. They certainly do have some cupcake teams in No Chubb and Judge Judy and even AB Taco Corp. But I think some luck from I think some luck's going to have to break their way in regards to other managers and other teams dropping some games for this team to make it in. So I'm not going to say it's an impossible path, but it's a very difficult one.
It's definitely going to be a difficult path, but everyone has one this year. It's a competitive season. We have a lot of good teams, and I think we're going to have a good shakeout here. I'm looking at a team that's honestly been on quite a hot streak. Won 4 in a row right now. We're looking at Euro Wizard Spina. They have less waiver wire moves than ever before. They have Christian McCaffrey getting a trade. I'm not sure how we feel about that in this new offense. Little less production, possibly more touchdowns, though. He's averaging 140 points over the last 4 weeks on that win streak. Let me hear from you first, Phil.
Yeah, this is a manager I interviewed recently for Meeting with the Managers, our segment, on my segment, I should say, on Bspn. And he's a great guy. Listen, smart as a whip. He knows football. He watches the waiver wire like a hawk. This guy is incredible. And in the last couple of weeks, he has just turned it up to the next level with scoring. He's aware of everything going on around him. He does have some challenging matchups coming up. He plays Eric Kilpatrick. He plays Duval Diamonds. He plays Reaper, and he plays Chef as well. I'll give respect where it's due. He doesn't have the easiest schedule, but I think with everything he's bringing together, the equation is there for success. I'm going to go Ake in on this manager. He's scoring a lot of points. His head's in the game. I want to see him in the postseason.
He's definitely doing well. I want to hear from you on this one, Mike.
Yes, certainly this manager's been on a hot streak. They haven't been blowing it out of the water in regards to points. That being said, they are playing very consistently. I have them Ake in. I picture them fitting right in that wild card spot. Like my colleague Phil alluded to, not the easiest schedule coming up, but this is a smart, savvy manager, and I expect him to make some moves. Could come in the form of waiver wire acquisitions, could come in the form of a trade. But the Wizards always got something up his sleeve.
Like you said, he's one of the top teams in scoring this year. He's in that upper half. He's putting up consistency. He's doing what he needs to do to get it done. He's grinding. He's hitting the office early. He's leaving late. He's got the boys working hard there. That's what I like to see, honestly. How do you feel about it, Barry?
Well, I I think he is. He's going to hang tight. I don't think he's going to really make an acquisition here. With Breece Hall going down, even though the Jets brought in James Robinson, Michael Carter is going to get some work. He's a dog from Miami. And then also Jacoby Myers, he's been playing better with this new kid in New England throwing the ball. Zay Jones, he's coming into the Jags offense too. Look, there's serious depth on this team. He's got some nagging injuries right now, but I think he can survive it and make the playoffs.
I agree on that. He's on a win streak, and he's definitely in for me. He's making the playoffs this year. I look for a deep playoff run out of this manager. He's experienced in the playoffs. He's not going to have the yips first round. He's going to put up some points. Now we're going to look at a team that's never missed the playoffs. He's on a 5-game win streak, number 2 in the league in scoring. Honestly, I think it's time to admit it. Manager Keller Kilpatrick is a powerhouse in the Blake Bortles MVP season league. He's one of the best teams consistently. He's easily making the playoffs this year. I'm 100% in, and I'm ready to crown him a champion right here in the midseason. How do you feel on it, Barry?
No way. This is John Gruden's team, and John Gruden's going to, obviously he's in for the playoffs. He's rolling. But you're crowning him champion right this second, Dick? What are you doing?
I got the dick out for him. What can I say? What do you got for me, Mike?
Look, it would be absolutely silly. I would have to turn in my badge as a reporter if I were to say this team would be ache out. Very clearly, this team is ache in. They have 4 rock stars on their roster in Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs, and Jalen Waddle. Any of those players can explode and give you a win on any given week. And that's been a lot of what we've seen from this team. And I do think it's time to acknowledge that this manager had a very good draft. They do know a thing or two about fantasy football, but something they don't know a thing or two about is winning a championship. And I don't think this is going to be their year. I have them ache in, and I'll say this right here and now. If they cannot secure a bye week, and they have a very tough schedule ahead, and I don't know if they can do that, if they cannot secure the bye week, they will be a first round out in the playoffs. I'm saying that right here, right now.
Well, when we get to our end of season review, we can look at this again. But again, he's on a 5-game win streak. He's put together consistency. You don't get luck from that. I think you got something there for me. How you doing, Phil? What you got?
I have been waiting my turn so long. I am so excited to talk about this team and this manager. And I'm glad you mentioned the end of season video, because if you go back to the beginning of season video, right after drafts or around that time, we all made predictions based on these teams. And I was called every name in the book for picking this guy to go to the championships. Y'all pulled me apart. You almost dragged me out of the studio. It was incredible. And now you're looking here, halfway through the season, and we're all kind of shifting in my direction. I should write books. I don't know what to say. This guy, he's on a win streak. I think it's going to be, now listen, you're a Wizard Spina. I have him aching, and I think these guys are going to be duking for that bye week, first week of playoffs. 1 game behind by Spina. One's 5-2, one's 4-3. Now, Taint Touchers has Duval Diamonds, Grim Reaper, and Eric for the rest of the way. So he does face some challenges, but I see this guy getting it done. Like I said, they're going to be duking for that bye week. This is going to be aching hard, and I think he's going to go deep.
He's going to definitely go deep. He's used to doing that in the playoffs. He made the championship last year. He got a little bit of blue balls. He's coming back, having a great time. I want to address this, Phil. I'm sorry we didn't listen to your opinion. You're one of the least valued members of our team. So no one really takes you seriously when you say most things. It's talked about around the office. I figured you knew already. Based off that, we're rolling on. We are halfway there, living on a prayer. We've done 6 teams. We're going to do 6 more right after these commercial breaks. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, wow! Keep my wife's name. I'm going to.
The managers voted anonymously, and the finalists have come to surface for the end of season awards. My name's Mike Oxlong, and here are your finalists for the 5 end of season awards. For Two Stone to Function, the finalists are Manager Ethan of California Brewing Company and Manager Barrett of Atlantic Beach Taco Corp. For Worst Negotiator, we have a two-way tie between Manager Noah of 1-2 and Manager Sam of Eric Kilpatrick. For Coach of the Year, we have 3 horses in this race. It's Manager Tyler of Groom Reaper, Manager Robert of Duval Diamonds, and Manager Logan of You're a Wizard Spina. For the Waiver King Award, our 2 finalists are Manager Logan of You're a Wizard Spina and Manager Sam of Eric Kilpatrick. And finally, the award for the Fluke season. Your finalists are Manager Chris of Jeffrey Dahmer and Manager Noah of 1-2. Those are your finalists. We will be announcing them at the end of season show. I look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, so I don't know if you were included on the email chain, but they are considering bringing in another personality for the next season. With the league rebrand, they want to do it big. So
now speaking of big, listen, big. I saw a Sasquatch leaving the studio last week. I walked out one night real late. Listen, I had 1, 2, 3 drinks maybe at most. And one of those, little, green cigarettes. And I walked out. This dude, 12 feet tall, covered in hair.
Dick.
What's up? What? Yep. Hello.
We're live.
Oh, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We got Barry in the restroom, but I'm here with Phil and Mike, and we are ready to go and break down the rest of the season. We're going to go ahead and get started. Barry will join us whenever he's ready. I heard a lot of noises coming from back there, so I think it could be a minute. We're going to go ahead and look at our top scorer this year by a mile. He's got something to prove. Bye weeks, I think, could kill this manager coming up, though. I think he could go 1-3 in his next 4 matchups. We got Duval Diamonds and manager Robert Nettles. How do you feel on him, Mike?
Look, I think this manager is so obviously Aiken, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. They're my favorite to secure the bye week. All they got to do is match the record of the top seed right now, which is 6-1, or the second seed, which is 5-2, and their scoring will take care of the rest. Something I'll be really interested to watch from this manager rest of season is if they can take the crown of highest scoring season of all time. It was set last year. As a matter of fact, the first, second, third, and fourth highest scoring seasons were all set last year. And I think this manager, this team, has a really good chance of setting that. Some tough matchups ahead, but hey, points don't care what matchups you have.
I think he's got a good chance. He's definitely Aiken. He's killing it scoring right now, but he did just lose a big receiver in Mike Williams. How do you feel on him right now, Phil?
Yeah, this is a tough one. And, I want to relate it to real football in a way. When the Jags played the Colts and the Chargers earlier this year, you had so much belief in them. And then over the past few weeks, they've kind of showed you that they're who you thought they were all along. So I believe this team has the potential. Now, if they can prove us differently than the past has taught us to think, that's what's going to be key here. Now, can they go deep? Can they continue their success? Now, what I will say is this is a deep team. Obviously, the Mike Williams injury is going to hurt very deeply, but this is a deep team. Now, I don't know if I see him getting a bye week. I do think this team is Aiken. I think they got something to prove. They do still play Tallahassee Tank Touchers. They also play Euro Wizard Spina, 2 really hot teams right now, both on large winning streaks. And bye weeks will be an issue as well. I think they're evenly spread enough to where the depth of this roster could make up for a little bit of that. But yeah, I think this team is definitely aching. And I know there was some conversation at the beginning of the season, right after the draft, where they may have reassessed everything a little bit, maybe went with something to try to better their season. And I think it's worked so far. Like you mentioned, high in scoring points. And obviously that's what the goal is to put points together. So they've accomplished that. Now, can they finish the second half of the race? That's what I'll be interested to see. I have them aching. They're not getting the bye week. I have a hard time believing that, but aching.
They're definitely aching. That bye week is tough. Like I said, it's the fight. Once you realize you're making the playoffs, you start to think that mindset. You start to shift a little bit. He is a very deep roster. I think you said that word about 11 times. We'll go over some professionality training after this. Let's look at what we got from Barry now.
Yeah, I mean, Aiken to make the playoffs, but here's the thing. Deep roster, Schmeep, Schmoster. Do it in the playoffs. I want to see something out of this team.
All right, that's Barry for you guys. I think his contract's coming up, so we'll probably be rediscussing those terms here sooner or later. We're going to move on to our next team, something that Barry might like. It's Jeffrey Dahmer. Let's see if he can cook up Barry a dinner and hopefully sober him up here. Right now, we got Jeffrey Dahmer. He's doing pretty well. He has the least amount of points scored against him. But I think he still has a pretty good roster and a pretty good chance to make it, I think, to the playoffs this year. Right now, I have him in. How do you feel?
I'm aching too. This is
Let's wait your turn, Barry. This is still my show. Can you Barry some water? Thank you. Mike, go ahead.
Ache in. No, I'm sorry. This team is ache out. Look, bottom three in scoring. Three of their wins have come with less than 100 points scored. Four of their total matchups, less than 100 points scored. They have not scored higher than 118 points on the season. They have some tough matchups ahead, right? Tallahassee Taint Touchers, your Wizard Spina, 1-2. I don't think that this team can survive that. I simply see no path whatsoever for this team to make the playoffs.
Listen, sometimes when you fall downhill and you just keep falling, you might fall into a pile of gold. That's what he seems to be doing. He keeps just falling upwards somehow, and he's succeeding. He's doing well. He's talking shit along the way. I got rumors from a lot of league managers that he's definitely in these league chats talking a lot of game, saying that he has one of the better teams. Not willing to make a lot of trades right now. We haven't seen him very active on the market or in the trade market. What you got for me, Phil? How you feel on him? I hear you have a inside source with this manager.
Yeah, I've talked, a lot with this manager, and he's very confident. If there's anything that you can tell about him right when you meet him, it's the confidence is just dripping off. And I love that for a manager. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with my colleague, Mike, and say that this team is probably ache out in the same reason, just points. And I know he's been lucky so far, this in the same way a lot of managers have who have had good matchups. Now, listen, Grim Reaper has had a hell of a year, and I don't want to take anything away from him. But there's certain matchup benefits that you get for facing certain teams. And this team has not scored many points. I think continuing down the stretch, they're going to have a hard time. This team, they have great teams in their conference. So I think they have a good record to stay in it. And if they do stay in it, I will not be surprised. They've treated the season very well so far, and I think they're in a good position. I don't think they're out of it by any means. But I don't see this team going to the playoffs. I'm going to have them ache out.
It's definitely possible. He definitely has a lot of challenges coming up, and he's a manager that's definitely well-seasoned and can definitely make those changes, I think, coming up and to adjust to the playoffs as he needs to. Barry, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, what I was trying to say before I was rudely interrupted was that this is my sneaky team to get in there. They're going to squeeze on in, just like they've been squeezing out these wins. They're not going to do anything in the playoffs, but I'm making.
The only reason I didn't mute you there, Barry, is because you agree with me. Welcome to my show. I appreciate you. We're going to move on to a manager. Our former champion had some struggles this year. Second year, a little sophomore slump. she got a crucial end of the season matchups coming up. She had her bye weeks pretty well planned. She plays 2 bottom feeders in the next 3 weeks. Those final 3 weeks of the season, she plays manager Sam Brichta, manager Robert Nettles, and then we're looking at Sheffrey Dahmer to end the season. If she wins out, she could be ache in. But for now, I think she's ache out. How do you feel on her, Mike?
Yeah, I agree with you. If she wins out, and that would be a big if, and I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. This is just a manager that's sort of like wheels spinning in the mud right now, especially with the loss of Breece Hall. I don't see a path for this manager right now unless they can facilitate a trade of some kind. And I've heard no indication that they will be making a trade. I think their season was done when Breece Hall left the field Sunday.
That's definitely an example of how injuries can completely change your season. She was on track. She was rolling. Some of the best running game in the league with that rookie runner right there. He was a baller. How do you feel on it, Phil?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Mike once again. I think he's had some good takes so far today. This team, they have a rough stretch coming up. Some of their opponents are playoff bound or in contention for playoffs mostly. The manager, like he said, with the loss of Breece Hall, that's a major implication. It's going to have effects farther down your season. Now, right now, I have her ache out, but what the fuck do I know? Last year, she proved us all wrong. We were all, talking shit, and she turned it up next level to end the season. So that's totally possible, and I have the faith in this manager, but it almost seems like she is preoccupied, like she has something else she's devoting her time to something else. Do what you get paid to do. Coach this team, okay? Now listen, if that's a trade, if it's acquisitions, if it's just getting your head in the game, fucking do it. You've done it before. Take a hold of the season and make it your bitch. But for right now, ache out.
I agree with you. What the fuck do you know what you're talking about? It's always been that way. It'll always be that way. Barry, I think you got something to add. I can see that sweat on your forehead. What you got for me?
I can't believe my colleagues right now. This manager had the most points scored against them on the year. Do you think that that's going to continue for the second half? No way. The ball is going to bounce their way a couple times. And if this team can get some sort of James Robinson like the Jets did, I think that their success is going to keep going. And they're only 2 games out. So it's not like it's that big of a stretch for them to make the playoffs. I'm saying ache in.
Wow, that's a stretch right there. Ache in. Definitely the guy who's in last place in the pick'ems, I wouldn't bet money on his choices right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on.
Hey, Dick. Why does he always start slurring when we get to the third quarter? What's going on?
Yeah, Dick is he's definitely having some troubles today. I don't know. I heard the executives are going to have a meeting after this, apparently. So we're going to move on, if that's okay with you, Dick, to a team that I honestly, I'd be shocked if anybody had them in. It's California Beers. California Brewing Company now. I'm sorry. They established a business and started losing a lot. 2 back-to-back bad years in a row after not missing the playoffs. Less than 100 points in 5 matches this year. Last in scoring, very beat up and torn up by bye weeks coming ahead. This guy's definitely ache out. I honestly don't think anyone else will disagree, but let's hear it from you, Barry.
Yeah, no, they're ache out. They got a lucky win against AB Taco Corp. And their first win of the season was just the same. I don't think that they're going to win another game this season, Dick.
Now, you say lucky win when 2 children hit each other, and it really has no effect on the actual effect of the world. Do you think that's lucky? These 2 children just fighting in the corner, honestly. I think we can leave them alone. How do you feel on this one, Phil?
Oh, man. We're talking about CJ again?
No.
I'm just fucking around. But that's the way his year's going, right? And CJ, don't be offended. You're the most resilient manager, so please don't be offended by that. But no, team manager Ethan has had a hard time pulling everything together ever since the first injury he had to his starting quarterback. And Obviously, the year's not going the way he wants it to. He's had success in the past, and I think that he'll do everything within his power to bring this back together and to stop the ship from sinking. However, I think it's gone a little bit too far. I do have this team as ache out right now. I have inside sources that say he's been trying to trade for the life of him. And I've heard that they have been quality trades as well, but I just haven't seen much movement so far. So at this point in time, I don't see a reason to think that this season's going to turn around any quicker than it started going down.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think I have much else to add to that. He's making trade offers, I've heard. The quality of them, it's to be seen. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Oxlong?
Obviously, this team is ache out, and it's really sad to see a former champion just have such a horrendous season. Yes, I have sources as well telling me they've been trying to make a trade, but it seems that the negotiation tactics are a little tough, that the asking price is a little too high. My sources were telling me that when this manager was trying to trade one of their star players, Stephon Diggs, they were asking for sometimes 3 to 4 startable assets for one player. I don't know any manager within their right mind that would make a 4-for-1 trade. I think if this manager can get some perspective on value, maybe that's some positive momentum they can carry into the next season, but they're done. This turkey is cooked.
I'd say
Definitely. Yeah, I could see that. There's no train robbery trades yet this year. Nothing like the manager Barrett Cutts trading his running back 1 like he did last year for just a simple quarterback. None of those massive moves that changed the league where one player really has gotten scammed by another manager. Now we're going to move to a manager that was recently mentioned, CJ Robertson with Team SpongeBob. Consistent, ready to go, and he just had a huge win against 1-2 Punch last week. Is this team ready to turn a corner? Honestly, I think this team could win the next 4 out of 5 matches. Bye weeks don't hurt them that much. They planned for this. I think they're ready for a turnaround. I have them ache in. How do you guys feel about that one? Let's hear from it, Mike.
Yeah, Dick, I would have to agree with you. This team is ache in. I wrote about this team when we were giving our draft grades. I said, this team is going to stumble to start, but they're going to finish strong. And we just saw them turn the corner. All right, look, they have DeAndre Hopkins back. They have Devontae Adams at wide receiver. Tom Brady's struggling a little bit, but a quick waiver wire acquisition, and their quarterback position is taken care of. And I mean, look at the running backs. Dameon Pierce, Kenneth Walker. This team is ready to roll. And I'll do you one better. I will do you one better, Dick. They are going to win 5 out of their next 6 matchups. They are aching, and this is an exciting team to watch. And Team SpongeBob is going to make their first playoff appearance, and I think it's well deserved. The league is a better place with this manager in it. I'm excited to watch the rest of this team's season.
Now, team manager CJ Robertson, he's resilient. He's smart. I've seen him win in the past. He's won in other leagues. He knows how to do this. He has to put the right pieces together. I understand teams have struggled in the past. Honestly, I root for a team that has struggled in the past with the Jaguars. We hope for a turnaround every single season. Have we had it yet? No. Are we going to have it? Probably not. Will my grandkids die without us winning a Super Bowl? Very likely. But Team SpongeBob is making the playoffs this year. How do you feel on it, Phil?
Man, I don't even want to go after this inspirational speech of takes y'all had. Personally, I have this team ache out, but what I do want to say, and the reason I have him ache out is just because of the competition in his division and the teams that I see making it, scoring points and everything else. But what I want to say about this team is when it clicked, it fucking clicked. And we all knew, if you look back to the review, or excuse me, the preview of this past week, unanimous decision, Team SpongeBob. Every single analyst knew what was going on because when it clicked, it fucking clicked. He had D-Hop come back, obviously, from that suspension. He planned for that for the future. Those are the types of fucking moves I want to see. And that's going to bring you long-term success in this league. He had Kenneth Walker stored away on his bench. He kept him through 5 weeks of not a single point, or maybe 2 points, and he comes in right at the point of injury for Rashad Penny. So this team is flipped a switch, and I'm not going to even argue when y'all say 4 of their next 5, 5 of their next 6. I'm not sure if that'll shake out because sometimes it just goes differently than you're thinking. But I do think this team is going to have continued success at a higher rate than they've had in the past, and I'm very proud to see it. This is an improving manager and a great team.
I think they'll sneak in there. How do you feel on it, Barry? I saw you react a little bit there. I can see you sweating.
A great team. Get out of here. All of you guys are fucking drinking that Kool-Aid.
Now, listen, I said ache out, but you have to give credit where credit's due.
It looks like Barry's out, and honestly, I think he needs to be. I called him an Uber, so I think he's going to go ahead and split on home now, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next team. Honestly, a real stinker of a team. Projected to finish last. Honestly, could finish last. They have 4 losses in a row. I think they have 4 more losses coming their way. They have 3 weeks sub 100 points. I think it just gets tougher for them out here, and they're ache out for me by a couple miles, and I think they're competing for that number 1 draft pick. And then the rumor has it that there could be a punishment established specifically for this manager this year.
Dickhead. I mean, Dick Aiken. Which team are we talking about?
We're talking about Atlantic Beach Taco Corp.
Oh no, not this isn't quality television. No wonder I don't come on this damn show. Now this team, not that you're asking me, but I'm just going to interject because I feel like this team sucks. And I was talking in a preview multiple weeks ago how impressive they've been to watch, but coming down the stretch here, it's just been ugly. It's like watching like a car full of puppies set on fire and drive over a cliff. It's just bad. And I want to hear your take on them. What did you say? Ache out? Because I have them ached out, like 3 times out.
Yes, I think I wrote down "ache the fuck out." Yeah, that's
okay.
What I had
That sounds
there.
right. Actually, that sounds
100%. I think this is the first time we're agreeing on something, and I definitely think you just copied off of Mike Oxlong. Mike, what do you got else here?
Yeah, it's the most obvious choice in the world that this team is ache out. I don't know that a punishment even needs to be decided for this manager because, to put it quite simply, they punished themselves when they took Najee Harris at 102. And that was the decision that we told this manager and we projected was going to haunt them and define their season. And it has. And I think the only silver lining to watching this team's season is if they can play spoiler for one of these teams coming up. All right, let's look at their week 10 through 12 matchups. Jeffrey Dahmer, Team SpongeBob, Grim Reaper, all playoff hopefuls. If this team can play spoiler, then I think that is the one positive we can all take away from their season.
I don't think there's going to be any positives. Like I said, I think they'll set the league record for losing streak with 8 losses in a row once they lose 4 more in these next 4 weeks. What else do you got for us, Barry, if anything? Hopefully this will be the end of what you have tonight and we can get you some water and a hot shower.
You about to
Who are we talking about? Atlantic Beach?
Atlantic Beach Taco Corp. Taco Bell.
Go Atlantic Beach. They're aching. They're making the playoffs. Are you kidding me? What are you guys talking about?
All right. Well, we have some of my esteemed colleagues here, ladies and gentlemen, and they gave their opinions. And then we had Barry McCockiner on the show. I appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. This has been your mid-season review, playing my game, Ache In, Ache Out, on my show, The Dick Aiken Report.
They have
Everyone
a
have a great evening.
16% chance of getting in.
I never want him on my show again. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have a great night. Thank you, gentlemen.
because he's behind the times.